We've got the creators of the show here to talk about LEGO Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures, to tell you a little bit about their creative process, actually hopefully more than a little, and actually show you something that you haven't seen before. But this is a fantastic new show on Disney XD coming to you. It's LEGO, it's Star Wars. What a winning combination, right? I don't want to waste any time because we've got a lot of great stuff to get to. So please join me in welcoming Bill Motz, Bob Roth, and Michael Hegner to the stage from LEGO Star Wars The Freemakers. Hey.
Thank you very much.
Hey, I did it. You did it. Awesome. There's one more. Where is he? Welcome to Star Wars Celebration.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so exciting to be here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming. So why don't we go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you do on LEGO Star Wars.
Start with Michael.
I'm the director, one of 5, actually the leading director, you could say, on this show. So I work very closely with Bill and Bob on getting what they thought out and put on paper to be on the screen.
And I'm Bill Motz, and Bob and I are the creators and head writers of the show. So we're also very excited to finally get to share this with the world. So we're hoping you love it as much as we've loved making it.
And I'm Bob Roth, and I work with Bill. And he said everything, so I don't have anything else left to say.
So you created the show. Let's talk about the creation of this show. I mean, that's kind of an interesting story, right? You guys had this nugget of an idea that came to you. Can you talk a little bit about how Freemaker came to be?
It was a dark and stormy Comic-Con. We'd heard rumors that Disney and Lucasfilm and LEGO were looking to do a LEGO Star Wars show. And that's all we knew. And we were at Comic-Con. You know what? Do you want to tell the story, Bill? You tell it.
All right. Well, we were at Comic-Con 2014, right? Mm-hmm. And so there was an executive that was at a party that we were at, one of those industry parties, and
a hot and smelly party.
Yeah, and we figured we could corner him, and which we did. And so over loud thumping music in a very small room, he sort of told us what they're looking for. And he said all we knew was that they wanted an original tale that takes place...
New characters.
New characters in the classic trilogy timeline. And that they would like it to be able to incorporate the idea of using all the ships and from all the battles.
Incorporate the entire saga was sort of the
prequels and classic.
And that's all there was.
Right.
That was all that you heard when they said, "Oh, we heard that you want to do this." Okay,
Yeah,
so
right.
from there.
So after there, we walked 3 blocks to dinner.
Yeah, we got out of the loud and smelly party because it was gross and humid there. And
So you went to a loud and smelly restaurant.
yeah,
Right.
walked
Okay.
3 blocks.
And as we get there, Bob says, "I know what the show is." And I said, "What show? The show we just got pitched?" And he says, "Yeah." And so over dinner, we fleshed out the idea of this family of salvagers who go around the galaxy picking up scrap from all these battles that have happened all through the Clone Wars and all through up through Empire Strikes Back, right up to the edge of Jedi. And we had this idea of, well, here, you tell a little bit.
The notion, the 2 keys that sort of felt like this is what's going to make it work is one was family, right? Like LEGO and Star Wars are both about family at the core. Like I build LEGO sets with my sons, and the saga, the Star Wars saga, is all about family. It's this crazy thing that you see the first film, A New Hope, and you think, oh, this is a story about a kid who gets whipped off in this adventure. And then by The Empire Strikes Back, you realize, oh, no, this is a story about a kid and his father. And then by the end of Return of the Jedi, no. It's a story about a kid, his father, and his sister. And then you go back for the prequels and you realize, okay, now we're going to learn how that family came to be. So at the core of Star Wars is family, and it's also there in LEGO too. Like the core of LEGO is also about building as a family. It's something moms and dads do with their kids. So it seemed like family had to be like right at the heart of this thing. And then the other notion, the other pillar was, scavengers and salvagers. That would give us access to the entire Star Wars timeline, all the rich history, Not just the contemporary battles of the original saga, but also the Clone Wars and the prequels and the Old Republic, everything. We can send our characters to anywhere throughout the rich history of Star Wars.
Wow. So it's a show about a family that's Lego kit bashing in the Star Wars universe, basically.
That's right.
I mean, what a great elevator pitch that is, because I immediately want to see that show.
The other part of it is I'm sure every parent out here who's bought an expensive Lego set for their kids has seen, the TIE Fighter crash on the floor and break into 1,000 pieces, and you're like, oh, they're never going to play with it again. But the beautiful thing about Lego is they pick up the pieces and they go to their X-Wing, which fell apart 2 months ago, and they craft it into something. They run up to you and they go, Dad, look what I built.
That's the fun of Lego.
That's the fun of Lego, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the other notion that came out of that dinner, that that they can take parts from old ships and recombine them and make uglies, and or Z-wings, as Xander likes to call them. So.
Well, and from there you got involved once the pitch.
Yes.
So the pitch was very successful. Yes, and then you got involved.
Yeah, when I got involved, there had already been a lot of things going on between Lego and Lucasfilm and those two geniuses, and they could pretty much lay out a whole perfect world for us. It was all set up. The pitch for each of the storylines for the first episode was there. So my job was with the team at Wilfilm in Copenhagen to go in and to understand all of that, to grasp the essence of it, and to find and continue the tone of voice that was put into this. The humor mixed with the drama, to understand the new. These are our main characters are all new characters. So we had to. I had to envision what you guys had and make sure that, if at all possible, I could make it stronger.
Well, let's talk about characters, because we already know that the pitch was incredibly strong. The concept at its core is something you immediately want to watch, but the humor that you brought up is just so immediate and so recognizable right as you watch the show. Can you talk about the humor, the tone, and the characters?
Sure. There were, of course, Michael Price did the Droid Tales and the Yoda Chronicles, and the man's a genius. He's a friend of ours. But we were looking to do something tonally different with this show. Those shows were sort of the Mad Magazine, a take on the Star Wars universe. Everything was a little bit parody. We knew with new characters, parody wasn't going to work because there's nothing to fall back on. There's no, I remember that moment in the movie when Rowan was there. No, you never saw Rowan in a movie. That's not going to work. So parody wasn't going to be the heart and soul of this show anymore.
You have the weight of establishing these characters in a way, right?
So if they're going to be funny, they're going to have to be funny all on their own. And so we needed to find archetypes for these characters.
And we also, the humor is important, but the drama is also important in the show. That the stakes are real. They're in real jeopardy. Their lives are really at stake.
Right.
The fate of the galaxy is at stake. So we also wanted our characters to be able to handle the dramatic side as well as the funny side, which.
And when you, everybody out here has a family, right? And so much of life's comedy and frustration comes from your family. That seemed like that was another thought. We're like, oh, this is all fitting perfectly. That it all clicks, as we say in Lego. Sorry. That you want the family to. Families just generate comedy. And Rowan was one of the first characters we came up with, and there he is. And we just said, I've got a 12-year-old son out in the audience there, and he's a handful, and he's awesome, and he's lovable, and he's funny, and he sometimes just doesn't do what you ask him to do, and that felt like that's a character I kind of want to see, like. Imagine a Jedi having to train a little bundle of energy. Like, we've seen Yoda train Luke. Luke was 100% invested in it, and Luke was willing to focus on becoming a Jedi. But we've never seen a young kid who was like, yeah, that's really interesting. When do I get a lightsaber? Or, that's really cool what you're telling me about how the Force works and stuff, but my mind has wandered, and now I'm over here playing with a Switch. And that seemed like, especially with Nare, who is such a focused character, that felt like that was going to generate comedy right off the bat. So that's Rowan. Oh, there's some guest stars.
Oh, look, some guest stars. My goodness. Well, that sure looks like some familiar characters. You want to tell us about this here?
That's a brother and sister you might see in the show. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, we were. Bob and I are huge Star Wars fans. I mean, we lifelong. In fact, we originally bonded over Star Wars.
Our first conversation was, so what's your favorite movie?
Star Wars. And
let's be friends forever.
So we work out of Bob's guest house, by the way, which is just packed to the rafters with Star Wars stuff. And so when we were given the opportunity to do an episode with Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa, we had to write that one. And we were just so excited to actually do that and have those characters in the show. And it's awesome to have the characters that we created interacting with the original classic characters. And also Darth Vader and the Emperor, the world's
worst bosses, the galaxy's worst bosses. That's sort of, we see them as like the out-of-touch upper management of the galaxy. Like, they dispatch their orders to their underlings and don't really, especially the Emperor himself, not really in touch with the day-to-day details of how his empire is run. Just sort of, make it happen, I want it done, don't bother me. So we should go, we got off track. We should talk about Xander and Cordy.
Let's talk about the core family, absolutely, yeah.
So Xander is the older brother. Rowan is about 12, Xander's about 18. And, again, we look to my family. I've got an older son who is a car nut, who can see a Lamborghini 3 blocks down, just turn the corner, you go, oh, I can tell from the sound of the engine, Dad. That was a 458, blah, 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 blah. And that seemed like a funny character for the older brother. And so, we love the Rowan-Xander relationship that at first, Xander seems like he's not the brightest guy. But that's just, the more you watch the show, the more you realize the best lessons in the Force Rowan gets actually come from Xander, who has some weird intuition about the Force and about how it works. So Xander's awesome. And then, you've got these two knuckleheads. We knew we needed one more to just sort of keep them in order. And that's where Cordy comes in. Cordy is the middle sibling. And she's taken the weight of the world upon her shoulders. That it's her responsibility to make sure the business runs, that there's food on the table, that the ship flies, that the ships they build as a family are actually sellable. Because Xander will just, if he was left to his own druthers, he'd make a ship that was a cockpit and 14 huge engines.
Right.
And it will just blow up as soon as you hit the ignition. She's like, that's great. I like your inspiration. Why don't we do just 2 engines and make sure it's one that can actually fly out of the hangar? And he's like,
I'm sure we've all done one of those, right? With our Legos.
Yeah. So we talk about that. Yeah, Xander is a chef and Cordy is a baker.
Right,
so
right.
How they approach things.
Ah, interesting.
Now, one of the things that's awesome about this show, and right now on the screen is a ship called the Rancor's Fist. It may have some design elements you might recognize from another classic character. And one of the things that's awesome about doing this show is the fact that it is a collaboration between Lego, Lucasfilm, and Disney.
Right.
So we are privileged to have a lot of the Lucasfilm team working on the show. So so Doug Chang and the design group from Lucasfilm helped design, for example, the Rancor's Fist.
There's nothing crazier than when you're sitting working away on a script and the email notification pops up. Doug Chang has some drawings he wants you to look at and give your opinion.
Like our opinion,
wait,
really?
Me tell Doug how to draw Star Wars?
Yeah,
that's backwards.
Yeah, so that's crazy. and then we also are privileged to have
Matt Wood.
Matt Wood, who is doing sound design on the show as well.
And
so,
a little more.
Yes, which will, yeah.
A little more. No, go ahead.
So the fourth member of the Freemaker family, the honorary member, is Roger, their battle droid. They found him who knows where on some planet. There he is. They dusted him off and reprogrammed him to be sort of their butler. And he's just awesome. He's become a favorite.
He's the last of the battle droids, or at least he thinks that he is, and therefore is a mint collectible in his mind and needs to be preserved at all costs. So if it's his life or the Freemakers, he'll jump for himself first. But anyway, he's a really funny character.
So why is he named Roger? I'm kidding. I'm sorry. No, sorry, that was terrible. No, wait. No, but this is great. We lost Roger.
We're going fast.
Oh my God, so many amazing images. So many questions. So no, Roger. So he is a great example of a prequel era Lego coming into.
To be honest, Roger was the very first character we had by name. Like, he came out of that dinner at Comic-Con that we knew that we wanted to have a battle droid in the family. It cracked us up that his name was Roger.
How do you spell that?
R-O-G-R.
Great. I'm sold. I love it. Oh, we lost our screen here up here.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Oh, me, oh, my.
All right, well, while that's getting set up, I just real quick want to also mention that one of the things that Will Film brought to the table was a stronger cinematic sense of the. So you can even see here in some concept art.
There's Roger having an oil bath.
From even where the Lego stuff had come before, they really it has just an incredible sense of detail and depth and cinematography to it that's amazing.
I mean, as you guys said, it is a privilege for us to work on these classic sets, and at the same time to be allowed to create new places for this universe, and to do that together with people that know it and has generally started the whole thing. That's quite amazing. But we do have to translate it. Like, the tone of voice is different in this show. The designs, of course, since it's all more or less made of Lego, we have to find a way to change the sets so that they fit our story. Often, for instance, the sense of scale is a little bit interesting, whereas in Star Wars you really go big. And in Lego Star Wars, to make everything work, we tend to actually have to go small on the big sets. But it was funny yesterday when I heard Doc Chan talk about going through all the history of what had happened with the different locations. I just realized now in Lego we have actually been through all of these locations.
We're running out of places to go. We got to come up with some new ones.
And what is Roger in here? Is this an oil bath?
This is Roger having an oil bath on the planet. This is a new planet. We mix up where our sometimes we go to places you've seen in the films. Sometimes we go to places you've seen in the Clone Wars or Rebels. But this is a new planet called Planet Zoe. And here Roger has a little opportunity for a little rest and relaxation. It's a sort of a droid spa for him.
I love the Roger character. I think all the characters are great, but it's just a fantastic character. I actually understand that you guys brought some clips to show the audience. If you guys want to see some more of the show.
Who wants to see Roger?
You guys want to see a little bit of Roger in action? Let's take a look at Roger from Lego Star Wars: The Freemaker Adventures.
Roger! What? What are you doing? We're not bounty hunters. I'm the most beloved member of a scrappy salvage team, and you're my rapscallion sidekick.
Wookiees don't exactly welcome outsiders.
Tell me about it. I lost a lot of good friends on Kashyyyk. And arms. Wookiees love to rip off arms.
In the Clone Wars, battle droids were the bad guys.
We were, but wait, this is overheating my logic circuits. I'm gonna stop thinking about it. Hey guys, what's new?
Yeah, good job. Yeah, give it up for Roger and Lego Star Wars: The Freemaker Adventures. And I understand we have a special guest here with us as well, the voice of Roger.
Bring him out, bring him out, bring him out.
Let's welcome Matthew Wood to the Celebration Galaxy stage. Matthew, where are you? There he is. What was your take when you first read a script for Roger?
Well, you mentioned that they had to dust off the character and put him back in the show, and that's kind of what I felt like. It's good. No, it was fun. I loved playing those battle droids in the Clone Wars for Dave Filoni, and I never expected to have them come back and to live for longer than one episode and have a whole character arc. It's a dream come true. That those characters are so silly, but I always played them sympathetic in the Clone Wars because I kind of had a soft spot for them, and you guys totally found that place that made it really easy to perform for.
So yeah, you did an article recently, or an interview recently, where you said, I always really felt for the plight of the battle droid. Do you feel like you ever had an opportunity to really bring that out? I mean, maybe in subtle ways, but here you're having an existential crisis about being the bad guy. What's that like for you? Is it just is it satisfying after so many years of playing these characters?
It is. My actor monologue of what I thought the characters were about. You guys totally keyed into. I think that that's a great shot. I felt like we never really got to explore those characters, what they felt. I know George Lucas, when I was working on the Clone Wars, he kind of told me, the motivation for them were that they had a really low-level processor in them. And it would be really too expensive to outfit an entire army with these high-level processors. So they have a little bit of a challenge. But they're great up against clones, but up against Jedi, forget about it. So to have that kind of in the performance of them too, that it's a low-level processor and they're kind of simple and I think you guys, you hit that. It's been such a joy to be able to play that character again.
And what's it like to, who, are you directing the voiceover sessions? How do the voiceover sessions go?
Normally, this is something that Bill and Bob will attend. I've been over there the first time when we started. Yes. I was there, but normally this is something that takes place in Los Angeles, and we are situated in Copenhagen. So
we have a brilliant voice director named Michael Donovan, and he keeps our cast just humming right along. He does a really good job working with, we've got Matt, we've got Eugene Bird and Vanessa Lenges and Nicholas Cantu, and they're all four very different actors, and he keeps them all just like moving right along and tightening as a family.
And one of the things that's great too is we like to record an ensemble. Because I think it gives a fun energy when the actors can riff off each other and build off each other. But Matt works all the way up at Lucasfilm, up at the Presidio in San Francisco. So he tries as often as he can, which is amazing to us. He actually
Matt
flies down.
Matt has some other things on his plate, too.
Maybe, I don't know. Rogue One or
episode 8,
or something like that. So he'll actually fly down for the recording just to be in the room. And one of the nice things that actually happened, we write this family as a family, and you kind of always hope that some of the energy of the performance from the actors helps create that feeling. And one of the things that's been amazing is the cast is actually bonded like a family. So they tease each other, they're playful with each other, they're supporting of each other, they're mentoring each other. There's so many times where I see Matt and Nicholas kind of interacting with each other, much like Roger and Rowan.
Yeah.
And so it's fun. They bring a fantastic energy to the performance.
And it's, Bill's absolutely right. They're becoming a family, or they became a family really quickly. I remember one of our early records, Eugene, who plays Xander, he'd finished all his lines for the day. And normally, when that happens, the voice actor is like, okay, I'm out. He hung around. He said, Nicholas still had like 15 lines to do. He came and sat down in the booth with us. He's like, I got to see how my little brother does. And they just support each other. That's so
great.
Rare.
They're into the story enough to hear what happens next. That's fantastic.
Now, one of the things, too, that's awesome about having Matt, as I mentioned, is that, Matt is creating sound design for the whole show. So the sound of the Star Scavenger, the Eclipse Fighter, what the Kyber Saber crystals sound like. all that sort of stuff, the hum of the wheel, the space station that they live on, all those things that Matt has created. But he's also the expert in the voice treatment department. And so it's really fun to watch what you do, for example, with Roger and how Roger does that.
And you seem to have a laptop in front of you, curiously enough.
I do. You're going to have to keep vamping because it crashed while I was off screen.
Oh,
All right, here we go.
Well, how's that for
So
timing?
it's really cool when Matt makes it sound like Roger.
But it is another example of, you mentioned Doug Chang before, Matthew Wood, you know, you're doing Lego Star Wars and you are right in the core of Star Wars with Lucasfilm.
So we are working with the story group of Lucasfilm.
How's that process?
It's awesome.
Fantastic.
And so shout out to, there's a few of them in the audience, like
There's
Leland
Chi, who we call once,
There he is.
once or twice a day with a
So-
stupid
Raise your
question.
hand.
Yeah,
What's the Wookiee's favorite fruit, Leland? We need to know right now. We work with Carrie Beck and Josh Rhimes in LA, who are just fantastic, awesome people. And then on the Lego side, we work with Jake Blaze and Jason Kostler and John McCormick, and they're all fantastic. And Vicky, hi Vicky,
over there? Yes.
and Jackie Lopez from Lucasfilm Animation.
Right.
There are so many Lucasfilm people amongst you right now, so, you know, watching and enjoying this as well. But the passion is all around, yes? I mean, you're able to
Absolutely.
just toss ideas back and forth.
Right.
Yes.
And then at Disney, Jermaine Turner and
Jermaine
and Matthew as well. So
Blanking on
Siegel.
Matthew's listening. Matthew
Siegel,
Siegel,
thank
thank
you.
Matthew Siegel.
brain fart. Sorry, Matthew.
How are we doing over there? How are we doing over there?
I think I think we might be up.
Oh, well, so would you like to give us a demonstration of your world in voice processing, with particular regard to Roger, or do you have others as well?
I've got Roger here. I've channeled Roger, so he's here, and we can give him a shot.
You guys want to hear this?
Let's see if we can do this.
Matthew Wood as Roger from the Freemakers. Is it working?
It's all going so well.
It sounds great up here, you guys. No. Stand by. So let's talk a little bit about, while Matthew's addressing that, let's talk a little bit about the process of, and you touched on this a little earlier, taking new Star Wars characters and what is that fine line between Lego design and Star Wars design, you know, where you have to interpret something and actually turn it into a 3D asset for the show?
Yeah, I think in terms of character, of course, our Vader, for instance, is a different Vader than the one you know from the films. The same with the Emperor. There's that touch of humor, and of course the designs. So we are allowed to play with them in a different way. That's what I meant before, and that is what makes maybe this series also so special, that we can actually do things that can only be done in this universe. So it's almost like creating a little bit of a side Star Wars universe. That gives also some freedom. We can play with comedy in a different way than we could do if we played it with the real characters that everybody knows.
And in terms of animation as well, I mean, that a lot of animation is driven by the way the actual legs work and things. But it's just funny when Lego characters.
Yeah, and actually the Lego characters, they are very limited. You can see they're really chunky. You can't do much. But that limitation is somehow a gift if you embrace it. And you say, okay, there are certain rules. We should not bend them totally out of shape. That will not work. It will look horrible. So within that sort of stiff little body, we have to do what's possible. And actually, that is what's interesting, because I've animated and directed these Lego minifigs for many years. And long ago, they stopped being minifigures. They are just characters. And I hope that's what people will also feel when they see this series, because it is so character-driven that you forget that it's minifigures. You just start to look at the characters.
Yeah, and the plastic nature of Legos is what gives it, those limitations give it that character.
Yeah. When we start talking about story, we actually don't think of them as little plastic figures. We think of them as flesh and blood people, and then we construct the story and then go back and go, okay, now let's remind ourselves, they're this tall, they're made of plastic. Is there any joke, any humor we can get out of hair popping off, or hair spinning around, that kind of stuff?
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. I mean, so when you consider the character, of course, we think about them as human beings. Mm-hmm. But there's a sense of humor in the movement and in the jokes we can pull off that is also unique to Lego, and we are always trying to look for them. Sometimes it's in the script. Sometimes we also try to enhance it when we do the storyboards, and just to look for these moments that are unique to Lego.
Yeah.
Speaking of enhancements, I think we've enhanced our audio playback system. You like that transition there? That was pretty good.
No pressure.
Let's see if it hurt.
Well, it wouldn't be Roger without a technical problem. Welcome to Star Wars Celebration Europe. Roger, Roger.
No, is that something that you do while you're recording? Do you record with the processing in your headphones, or do you do it?
Well, that's a very good question, Dave. No, actually, I use my own Matt's real voice, and they do this in post, or actually, Matt does this in post. So, no, I try to be a human when I'm in the studio with the rest of my cast.
This is really an out-of-the-body experience for me.
Oh, I'm used to it.
I'm seeing a lot of cell phone voicemail greeting recordings in your future, or prank phone calls. That's a great
How have
opportunity.
I not thought of that till this moment? Oh my
Yeah.
God. Matt, what are you doing?
Anyone want a voicemail message?
yeah, exactly.
I'll just say everyone's name.
That's right. Yeah, there's autograph tables.
Form
and
an
then there's
orderly
the,
queue.
So is that the same processing that you've had for many years with the Clone Wars, or is that something that you changed for Roger, or is it more just in the performance of the voice?
It's the same thing. It's been there in the prequels, Clone Wars, and the Freemakers. So I try to be consistent, just like we do with the sound effects.
There's an incredible delay up here, too, where he says something and then you hear it like a few seconds later. It is the trippiest thing. That's just great. Matthew Wood as Roger.
Thank you.
That's great. So the show is, you're in your first season now. You've aired in certain territories, but not in other territories.
I'm just kind of curious. I didn't get to see. Show of hands, who has seen anything of the show? All right.
All right.
And who has not seen other than this? Okay, so quite a
Okay,
few.
close
Little.
to you.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
those of you who have seen, no spoilers.
That's right,
There's a big
no
spoiler in the first
spoilers.
episode that we're trying to protect. So
Yes. So part of the fun of this show is there are twists and turns that you may not expect.
right.
So in the story process, I mean, you approach this just like you would approach any great Star Wars story, or is it Star Wars story plus comedy? How do you kind of work this out with Story Group?
We work with story, and the characters are kind of naturally funny. So it's not that we never say, well, let's just think of a funny situation to put them in. But more often than not, we're approaching them from, okay, where is Rowan in particular? Where is he on his journey this season? And then the humor kind of comes naturally as we talk about the stories. It's like, you know, I mean, that's where a kid like Rowan at the center of this is just going to generate humor, because he's not going to listen to what Yoda says. He's going to get halfway through the lesson, then tune out and go over there and start monkeying with something.
Right. So you're able to hit certain familiar beats, but you also see new locations that you mentioned before. What is
Yes.
the design process like that? So you have new vehicles, but what's the balance between the new and the familiar with the show?
I think if we have seen the locations in the universe before, we of course go in there and we look and we have the best source material possible. If it's something new, we try to work it out sort of pretty carefully together with the designers at Lucasfilm, Doc Chang, with Jake Blaze from Lego, who's a sort of head creative person on this show, and with Bill and Bob, and of course also with Carrie. So there's a creative process going around where we share these things. And that is actually very helpful. The process of having everybody, it sounds like a nightmare actually as a director to have so many people on board from so many different companies. But people are so much on the same line.
Yeah.
We are playing the same tune. So it is actually very helpful. That means when
It's like an orchestra.
Yeah, and when people are playing that same song, and they know, the conductor is doing that thing, they can all chip in and they shoot in the same direction. So it's a great help. All the comments, Bill and Bob are just yesterday evening we were out eating and they were just excusing for their many comments when they gave us feedback to the show. And they're surprised that we directors actually appreciate them. But we truly do. And the same thing goes from comments we get from everybody else, because it is the comments that just helps make the show better. They are all on target. So it's not an annoying comment that takes you away from what you want to do. 99% of them, there's a few we can talk about, they are actually really, really good. So that's how it works when we design things, when we discuss the edits. That's how the process is in general.
You brought up it being like an orchestra, and that just immediately reminded me of the incredible music for the show. And I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the composer and the musical process for this. Can you just touch on that a little bit for those that don't know and haven't seen the show?
All right, yes, but
Oh, Michael Kramer. Michael
Yes.
Kramer is this whirlwind genius. Like we
The composer, Michael Kramer.
yes,
Yeah.
Michael
Yes, he's our
Kramer's our composer.
First off, we have access to the original John Williams cues, which he folds into the score and reinterprets as needed. But he's also brilliant at coming up with stuff that feels like it fits in with that stuff. So he's come up with a theme for the Freemakers that's tremendous. He's come up with a theme for Rowan that feels like it's as beautiful and flowing as anything John Williams ever came up with. And that's, I'm not blowing smoke. That is high praise. I am a super Star Wars fan. I wouldn't say that if I didn't really in my heart believe, like, this is, how we found this kid is
And so Michael
staggering.
decided that he would like to do the score live with the live orchestra. So he hired an 83-piece orchestra from Bratislava to perform the score. So you heard that was Freemaker music playing as you came in. And
Yeah, if you thought it was John Williams when you were coming in, that was music from the show. It's just incredible.
So that was Michael's work.
It's a
He's-
beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful score. I'm so proud of the score.
Yeah.
And I think that adds to the thematic feel of this series. I mean, we have the drama, we have the ongoing character and story arcs, we have the look of it that we try to achieve that has that filmatic feel to it, and then we have that score that is really amazing.
Yeah, it
because
gives
it's real
it an
music.
epic feel that
Yeah.
I'm really proud of.
So we've seen examples of everything from different films. You know, obviously Roger from the prequels, Luke and Leia from the classic trilogy, new planets, but also familiar planets. Is there anything else you can tell us about more prequel content? Anything else that we can?
There is a sequence coming up in our 7th episode, and how can we set this up without spoiling too much? You're going to see, and when I say you're going to see, I mean literally you're going to see it any moment now.
All right.
A real staple of the prequels, and the Freemakers wind up on the run from Dengar, not from the prequels, but they wind up in a pod race. And they're escaping from Dengar. They start out just running away, and then in their running away, they wind up in the middle of a pod race.
So there's a new character in our show who is named Graballa the Hutt, and he is Jabba the Hutt's cousin.
Poor put-upon cousin.
Yes, and he is trying so hard to break out of Jabba's shadow and do his own thing. So he discovers that the Freemakers have a way of finding these very precious, rare kyber crystals. And he wants them, and he wants Rowan specifically. So he has hired Dengar to track down the Freemakers. And so they end up, he has pulled a trap for them on Tatooine, and the Freemakers need to escape.
I'm not sure if they want to see a clip, but let me just ask for a second. Hold on one
Good
second.
idea.
Does anybody want to see more Lego Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures? Because I sure do. Let's take a look at a pod race from this new show.
Welcome to another Moss Expo Raceway Epic, the 29th Annual Bricklayers Classic. Spastilia do Onda Hodruber. Make out 2 late entries.
Dengar's still following us. Shooting at us too.
I noticed! We are losing thrust!
On it.
Lost a set for stun. Rowan! Duck!
You look tired. Here, let me drive.
Cordy! I'm not seeing Dengar, so feel free to drop out of this race anytime!
Drop out? When we're in 4th place and closing to a 3rd?
Ram, you bash! And bash! You ram!
Another hit like that, and we'll be dead last.
These guys are the best I can afford. You play the sabak hand you dealt. Although, feel free to say no, but I'm just... No. No? Okay, fine. It was just an idea.
I don't believe it, folks. We have a new race team literally out of nowhere, neck and neck with Ben Quaterneros for the lead.
Yeah, give it up for Lego Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures. That was an incredible clip. Okay, we got to open it up for QA in a second, but question, not QA, but Q&A. Just a couple things about that clip. There were some familiar characters in there. I mean, that seemed like the most Espa racing track on Tatooine.
It's Boonta Eve.
It's Boonta Eve. You saw Ben Quaterneros and Mahonic and a couple of other cool characters.
Yes.
But was that a voice from Aqua Teen Hunger Force that we saw there at the very end?
That was Dana Snyder as Graballa the Hutt. And if you're an Aqua Teen Hunger Force fan, know that this man is a giant Lego fan. He is a giant Star Wars fan. And we could do an entire 13 episodes just from his ad-libs. The hardest thing about recording this guy is he comes in and he makes every line 10 times funnier and 100 times longer. And we just don't have time to use it all. So at the end of the session, we have to go back and go, okay, take that piece because that was really funny. But you're going to have to, with that other 10-minute riff he went on, we don't have time for that. But, oh, someday, save it. We'll find somewhere else for it. And, man, guy is just a treasure.
And that's a huge action sequence to direct all around. All of the assets going on in there.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up, because it's actually one of our good directors, Frederik Budolf, who did this episode. We share the episode, so there's simply too much for one person.
Yes.
So give it up for Frederik. I think he did a really great job playing with Lego and Star Wars in this sequence together with his editor Henrik Beck. So we try to do exactly that, to give, for each episode, the director that's attached has to take ownership and really have to make it his or her own. And I think they did it very well there.
And the pod race sequence was something that you guys worked on for months, literally, right, on episode 1.
Yeah, that was my fondest memories of working on the prequels, was the pod race. So to have an opportunity to revisit it again, and so I can log into their system and look at and see the episodes as they're being developed, and I can watch and just say, you know, if you use, like, for example, the sound of when the race is about to start and it's indicating what lap's going to be. Originally, that was just another beep sound, and I was like, you know what, I have the exact one we can use that's from the prequels, and so those little touches, I feel so grateful to be able to have access to that material and to know it so well and to be able to give it to a show that completely is 100% deserving of it. It's an amazing, fun revisit for me as somebody that's worked on them before. I loved it. I loved what your crew had done with the sound, and just any tweaks that we could do from Skywalker was enjoyable.
So he's grateful. What do you think we are?
Yeah, oh my God.
This is amazing for us, you know, to be able to dig into all that, to have access to people like you, to the history, It's really been a pleasure, and I think that's actually something that you can say for the whole process. Everybody that's involved, on whatever level, loves Star Wars. Everybody wants to do this better, and that's been something that you could feel throughout. Everybody really want to do their best.
There's just such a happy, fun energy with this crew, and you can feel it in the show. I don't know if you guys feel it up here, but there's just a lot of excitement and a lot of great energy talking about this show. We have some moments. We have over 10 minutes, actually, which is great for questions. So we want to open it up to you guys. This is a great opportunity to talk to the creators of LEGO Star Wars: The Freemaker. We're going to set a microphone up right there. If you can see it, it's actually right there and right over here. If you have any questions about the show that we can answer before it's aired.
Right. No spoilers.
Anyone? No spoilers. Anyone? Is that a question?
Yeah, might as well.
Go for it.
Obviously, we see some familiar characters up on screen. Did you have access?
Could you get a little closer to the mic? Sorry about that.
It's very hard to hear up here.
It's the heels, 6'4". Sorry. Yeah, obviously we see some familiar characters up on screen. Do we have any, or did you have access to the original cast, or anyone come in to voice
some of them?
James Earl Jones, did he show up to do Darth Vader?
No, we couldn't get James Earl Jones, but I think we can say Billy D. Williams showed up.
Lando shows up in the show, and he insisted on playing the part again. So, and it was such an incredible pleasure to meet him and work with him. And he was excited about doing the show, as excited as I think as we were to have him do it. And
I know this is not the kind of character you're asking about, but that was Greg Proops as Fodes and Bede. He showed up, read his 2 lines, and said, "You do a role 15 years ago, and it's still paying dividends today. Who'd have thought?"
Excellent. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. Right here.
So previously on all the LEGO ones, they've been kind of non-canonical. Is this going to be into canon, or is this still going to be outside of the realm of the Star Wars universe?
The short, simple answer is no. But we have to play nice within the canon. Okay. So this show is sort of canon adjacent, but the Lucasfilm group works very hard. The story group makes sure that everything we do could fit into the canon, but it is not part of the canon.
And that's, we say it's canon paraphrase as a little joke for us, but the idea is almost, because it is Lego, it's going to be a little,
it's more fun,
it can't absolutely be canon and that kind of thing, but we work to try to respect it.
Right. Obviously, if you take a look at the Vader Emperor scenes, we take liberties for the sake of comedy there. That's not the way they were acting when in between the movies. But
the story points could happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Right here.
Hi. For us bigger kids who may have a box of the original Marvel comics up in the attic,
yes.
Thank you for bringing the wheel to life.
Oh, my pleasure. I've got, not only do I have the box of comics, I've got an original Archie Goodwin, Carmine Infantino page from the Wheel arc on the wall in my guest house. I love the old Marvel comics. They were Star Wars when you couldn't see Star Wars every day.
Thank you. That's great. Right here.
Yeah. Could we see the Ghost Crew come
we can't
Sorry,
hear
a little louder. Right into the microphone. Go ahead.
Yeah. Could we see the Ghost Crew coming to the wheel?
Not on the wheel, but maybe some of them eventually at some point, and that's all we can say on that.
Ooh, mysterious. Right here.
I've already seen the first season of the Freemaker Adventures, but is there going to be a second season?
We can't answer that question.
But we sure hope so.
Right here. Go ahead.
So sorry if I missed this, but how much access did you have to the game developers, as in the guys who recently made LEGO Star Wars Force Awakens? And related to that, are there any plans to turn the Freemakers into a game?
Man, I would love the Freemakers to be a game. To answer your first question, we didn't have... that all ran through Lucasfilm. So the people we were working with at Lucasfilm were in touch with the people running the game, and likewise LEGO. But us personally, we we didn't meet those people. We don't know those people. We are super excited that they put the Freemakers in as an expansion pack if you get the full season. And I am dying to play as Grabala the Hutt. No, we didn't have any access to them.
However, I will say that we have a panel right here tomorrow all about Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. And the folks that worked on that title will be here. So if you have interest in Lego, if you're a big Lego Star Wars fan, you definitely want to check that out.
I am.
You are. Oh, I know you guys are. Yeah. So definitely come and check that out, and you can really get an insight into that process as well. Right here. Go ahead.
In relation to working with Lego, how much, say, goes from them in your character design to potentially turn these into toy products? And can we expect any toy products in relation to this anytime soon?
Well, there are currently 2 out sets right now. So you can see them in the Lego booth. It's the Star Scavenger and the Eclipse Fighter. So it's the Freemakers salvaging ship and Nare's fighter. And then there might be some additional
If there were to be more, there would be more.
There might be some more.
So hopefully, yes. Anyone else? Any questions? Thank you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the most, this entire process has been full of surreal moments, including, by the way, this one. One of the most surreal moments of the whole project was we flew to Billin, Lego headquarters, and we sat around and talked about the show, and then at some point they brought in these boxes. And we're like, well, what's in the boxes? And they pull out, oh, here's the ship that came out of your head. Would you like to hold it?
Like, it's what they call the sketch model.
They call it the sketch model. And they had 2 different versions of the Star Scavenger, and they're like, we'd like to hear your opinion on these. And we're like, again, it's like when Doug Chang says, I'd like to hear your opinion on my drawings. It's like, you don't want my opinion. I'm an idiot. You want to talk to somebody who knows about how to. You guys tell me what you think of it. Do you like it? You do? Okay, it's good with me then.
Did you like it?
We loved them. and the beautiful thing was, because give us an inch, we'll take a mile. After we got over just being stunned, we're like, okay, so we do have some opinions. We'd like the guns from this one to be over here on this one, but we want the back half of this one.
I get that every day.
Right, you're used to this kind of feedback.
We can't help ourselves.
Yeah.
Has your Lego collection, Lego Star Wars collection, increased dramatically since starting working on this show?
Yes, it has.
I'm a little bit banned at the moment from any further kits by my wife because we've run out of places to put things. So
I heard they both started building bigger houses, actually.
There you go. Well, hey, join me in thanking our panelists, Bill Motz, Bob Roth. Wait.
Yep.
Bill Motz, Bob Roth, Michael Hegner, and Matthew Wood. Lego Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures coming very soon to you. Be sure to check it out. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you, everybody.